Okay, so now that we have our pentatonic scales somewhat memorized, or maybe you have memorized all the patterns at this point in one position, or maybe you haven't at this point, they can be a bit confusing because of the different jumps and motions that you have to do between the G and the B string, and also the E string sometimes as well. But to really get those positions down, to get those scale patterns down, it's just basically the more you play it, the more the easier they will become to you. So what I'm going to do is first of all, I'm just going to run through those 5 patterns and show you what they sound like in the context of, say, an A minor chord. What I have is a looper, and I'm just going to play a chord here, and that's just a basic A minor chord, like that right there. It'll just give you an idea of what the pentatonic scale sounds like in all 5 patterns. So here's pattern 1, and I'll just run through them quickly. Pattern 2. Pattern 3. Pattern 3 is actually my favorite, one of my favorites. Pattern 4. Pattern 5. Pattern 1. And then you can also go back down with it. Okay, so that just kind of gives you an idea of what the pentatonic scale sounds like. It'll be a good idea if you have a looper that you can just, throw a chord in and play the scales over that chord, and that does a few things. That gives you kind of the tonal context of, you always know where your root is. You always know kind of the sound of that root, that minor sound. And as you go up into the different patterns, pattern 2, 3, 4, 5, as I said, they can be confusing. So if you have that chord in the background, it just gives you a foundation of what to listen for with your ear. So you'll know if you hit a wrong note. Okay, so what I would do as far as the patterns is just play them over and over and over. Pick a pattern, maybe one pattern a week. Most people probably have pattern 1 memorized, but most people are not familiar with, say, pattern 2, which is here. So just playing that pattern over and over is going to burn it into your memory. But also a good way to practice these and to get these down is to go from one pattern to the next. Say if you chose pattern 2 for 1 week, you already have pattern 1 memorized. So if we went all the way up pattern 1 and slid up to the ending note of pattern 2 and came down pattern 2's position, that's a good way to memorize them, and then go back down to pattern 1. Okay, so the point of that is just, like I said, just to memorize the different position, especially this second position if you're not familiar with it. Same thing with the second position. We could take the second position all the way up, slide up to our third position, and go down that way. slide back down to our second position, go back up to our third, same thing with our third and fourth position, do the same thing, up to third position, up, slide all the way up to the last note of the fourth position. Now that is a 3 fret slide right there, and then down our fourth position, back down to our third, fourth, and we could also do the same thing with the fourth position, up the scale, up to our fifth position, slide up, and back down, back down to our 4, and then back to our 1 actually, first position up here at the top. And yes, you know, obviously if you can go forwards, you can go backwards. So up the first position and back down, slide down to the fifth. Whoops, and then go down. Okay, so that's one way of doing it. You may want to just pick one pattern a week, say the first and second, really get that down, and then move on to the second and third, third and fourth, and etc. Once again, you know, you can go up and also all the way back down. Obviously, I'm at the 5th fret here, so I'm not limited. You know, if this is my first position, I also have my 5th position right here. So we have seen that we can go up the scale and slide up at the high E string. You can also do that on the low E string. Say, go all the way up, pattern 1, back down, and then slide up to our second position here on the low E string. Whoops, I messed up on the end. I was supposed to slide down. Slide down to our first position. So. So I know this isn't extremely musical, but I know it will definitely help you memorize the patterns. And for right now, that's what we're getting at. If you don't know all 5 patterns all over the neck, you definitely need to memorize those, and it will definitely increase your range of notes on the instrument, your phrasing, just, you know, anything. And this scale, you know, is not limited to rock or blues. You know, that's what it's mostly used in, but it can be limited. It can also be used in jazz and you know, any other type of music. So give those a shot, memorize those, and I'll see you in the next video.